Ready when you are.
Hey, it's Eric Swalwell.
Hi, Congressman Swalwell. My name is Joe Shepard, and I'm the host of the Youth Brain Trust podcast. You're the first actual guest of this new series we have, where we're trying to help young people get to know who represents them. Actually, we met in Columbus, Indiana during your campaign. You fielded a question of our groups. So,
I remember that. Yeah. You guys had driven down, right?
Yep. You can't be a good excuse for Louisville barbecue.
And you went all the way to Louisville, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's only like an hour after that. So.
Yep, that's right. Good barbecue.
Best barbecue in the country. But, so how's your day going?
Good. Just, I'm here in Washington, flying back to California tonight, and then back to Washington on Monday. So kick things back up here. Yeah.
Definitely the rush. I'm a freshman at Iowa State, and I'm actually trying to run for a youth delegate to the DNC in Illinois. So there's a lot of that back and forth.
Good luck on that. Yeah. So how are things right now in Ames?
Oh, they're doing quite well. We have a beautiful sunny day outside, so probably go play some volleyball after this. So essentially, to a more darker tone, I guess, you kind of ran under the guise of, one, gun reform, and two, passing the torch. And that's a good deal of what we're about. We want to help young people kind of be empowered to do greater things, because we've been running on this same generation for 40 years at this point with the candidacy of Joe Biden. He's been in politics since, I believe, 1972 or 73. So with these horrific gun, I don't even know what to call them anymore, calamities, massacres, just like the one we had in West Texas at the end of last week. Our first guest was actually a very strong woman by the name of Kim Campbell, who was Prime Minister of Canada about 25 years ago. And before that, she was Attorney General. During her time, a misogynist shot up a school of girls in Quebec, engineering students, and she swept in, and they haven't really had any major mass shootings like that since. So my first question is, as a member of Congress, the vast majority of American people are behind gun reform, even on the lowest level, even the vast majority of NRA members. As a member of Congress who kind of can see things from the inside, could you tell our audience kind of what is the main factor holding all this up, since one of the big ticket issues for young people is school safety and gun violence?
It's really political courage that's missing, not imagination. You know, we know what the solutions are. We've seen other countries, as you mentioned, Canada and, of course, Australia banned assault weapons after one mass shooting, and they have not seen anything close to the mass shooting that really inspired them to ban assault weapons. And so, you know, the solutions here would be background checks, banning and buying back assault weapons, red flag laws, licensing, insurance requirements, and also just, you know, making sure that we can hold gun manufacturers liable so that they're not, you know, producing dangerous weapons that, you know, that don't have, you know, smart, you know, storage or smart, you know, sensors on them that, you know, could fall in the hands of the wrong person. I mean, the technology's there, the solutions are there. It's really just, you know, getting political leaders behind it. That's why I ran for president, and I think it's going to take generational change. I was inspired in 2018, post-Parkland, when I saw so many young people say that they wanted to be safe in their classrooms, they wanted to be free from fear, and they wanted leaders who would act accordingly. And so they went to the streets and beat 18 NRA-endorsed members of Congress. And, you know, today we were able to, in this Congress, we were able to pass background checks, and, you know, we're just warming up. So it really is going to be the next generation, I think, that's going to get us out of this mess.
I think that odometer is going to be turning pretty soon between you and I. So hopefully that the Youth Brain Trust can kind of help push that along, because one of the main inspirations for our organization, and we've heard from both your staff and the media that you are a fan of Taylor Swift. I mean, you did call yourself a country music gem in Columbus. And I know that back during the last cycle when Taylor Swift endorsed Phil Bredesen, the former governor of Tennessee, running for Senate, Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk kind of went off on her and then you kind of responded with some Taylor Swift lyrics of your own.
I remember that, and she was engaging, and most artists are very cautious to do that because their fans are Republicans and Democrats and independents, and I think these are extraordinary times, though, and so any artist that is willing to step up and just say that this is not normal, and we all have a responsibility, to participate in our democracy and be the change that we want. I welcome that, and so I think she recognizes she's going to pay a little bit of a price in some of the heat that'll come her way, but the numbers that we saw in voter registration after she publicly came forward, were astonishing. There was an increase in voter registration, whether it was directly linked to her engagement or not. It just shows that influencers, are able to, get the attention of young people who may not necessarily be paying attention.
Indeed, it's kind of like Kennedy with Sinatra 60 years ago, at least from my perspective. And we're going to need more voices, to come forward. I always just remind myself every day, this is not normal. Sometimes I wonder if I'm, pushing, too hard on some of these issues, and then I step back and realize, this president is a lawless, dangerous, corrupt, childish person who is, risking the democracy every single day, and we can't be quiet. And it's going to take the next generation who will have to pay the price more than anyone to step up and lead. Exactly. Just a little bit for the listeners, and I guess yourself, about me. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is actually one of our inspirations, but not in the way you would think. I spoke at a bunch of township meetings across suburban Chicago when we were starting up this organization, probably something like 70 or 100 meetings. And I always said, because Charlie Kirk is also from the same area as I am,
sure.
Our high schools are football rivals. So whenever I would go to these meetings, I would say that, liberalism, progressivism needs a counterpoint to this. And why not somebody whose team can beat his high school team at football? It's kind of a running joke there.
Right.
Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA really were the ones who were able to turn the screws on kind of the Tea Party and the Trumpist red wave of 5 years ago. And I feel like we need organizations like ours and also the young Democrats and college Democrats to kind of help pull through to the next decade.
And I really think a lot of, yes, winning the White House is important, and we have to do all we can, to make sure that happens. Keeping the House, which we won in the midterms, is important. But, we have an opportunity, to win the Senate. And young people can really be a force in places like Colorado and Arizona and Maine and even Iowa. Once we get a nominee there, we should not give Senator Ernst a free pass because she's not going to do anything to make anyone safer when it comes to, acting on gun safety.
Yeah, exactly. I know when we met in Columbus, you said in your speech that not only do you have to reach across the aisle, but you have to reach across the dinner table. You come from a rather conservative family. My family is also politically split. I grew up being a more conservative individual, and a few weeks ago, I actually had the privilege to meet Michael Bennet, another senator and presidential candidate, and I kind of brought this topic up. And it wasn't Donald Trump and his rhetoric that really got me, because I was a Rubio supporter. It was the fact that you have all these people who the conservative movement portrays as principled men. Paul Ryan, Rand Paul, Mitch McConnell. And the moment Donald Trump got elected, and Lindsey Graham is another great example, they all kind of bent the knee. And I feel like a lot of the conservative friends I have, that's the moment they turned off the Republican Party. Wasn't necessarily his rhetoric, but it was the failure of the rest of the party to kind of heal him.
Yeah, so as a father of a 2-year-old who watches more children's movies than, adult movies these days, it reminds me of the movie Minions. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Oh,
but, yes. So in the beginning they lay out, the Minions over time always, just to survive, always find, the worst, creature around, and they just attach themselves to that creature and just, latch on and are completely sycophantic toward that creature, and that's what I've seen in so many folks who knew what Donald Trump, knew who he was, knew that everything he said, was the antithesis to who we are, including Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, and now have completely, in minion-like fashion, followed him every step, along his lawless path. And I don't think history will look kindly on this. I think this will be regarded as one of the uglier times in American history. But I think the people who speak up and help correct our democracy, they will be regarded as patriots who help save a country and reshape a country, because certainly we're not perfect. There's still a lot of issues like climate and racial justice and gun violence that prior Democratic administrations haven't been able to get right either. But there's going to have to be a correcting, and then I would say a recalibrating as to where we go next. And I have all the faith in the world that it's your generation that's going to get us there.
Actually, we always do a couple of user-submitted questions, and so going off of the fact that you have a young family, we, or at least my organization, follows you on Instagram and Twitter. We were wondering, at least one of my chapter leaders was wondering, you have a son named Nelson and a daughter named Cricket.
Yep.
How did you come to the name Cricket is a question that somebody asked me to ask.
So my wife's mother's name is Catherine, and we wanted to name our daughter after my wife's mother, but she's still alive, and so we wanted to give her a nickname just, to avoid confusion. And so Cricket is, a nickname for Catherine that we had heard, and my wife just loved it, and it fits. She's our, chirping little cricket. And so, it's not a name you hear a lot, but, it's Cricket and Nelson.
For sure. But I think you're right. This generational change is going to have to come from my generation. And, you're only 20 years older than me, so, yours as well. I think you're kind of on the line of a Gen X or a millennial.
Yeah, I consider myself one of the early adopters of the millennial generation, right at the tip of the spear, 1980. Founder status. All
right, that's fair. Yeah, we're kind of in the lost phase too, because we're not sure if we're Gen Z or millennials.
Right,
so,
right. I hear you.
We're just whatever we are. As like we have elements of both, and I'm not complaining. So I think I'm just going to kind of round this off here with our funner section, because we've noticed that, at least in Illinois, where we're based heavily, that a lot of young people find that those who represent them are socially disconnected. Now, obviously, you are one of the most active members of Congress on social media, and you're also one of the youngest. So that connection is probably better than most. But we've noticed that oftentimes once you put on that representative cap, there's like a small piece that kind of breaks off. And so we always try and talk about something inherently non-political and fun, because you could be a talking head on MSNBC or Fox, and that's all we could know about you. Or we could add a little fun there to add something to kind of take home with to grant a better understanding. So I guess going back to that whole interest in Taylor Swift, what draws you to Taylor Swift as a musician? I've listened to her quite a bit, especially when I was younger, but it's just always interesting to hear, because she's such in terms of music fans, polarizing.
Yeah. So one, I like country music. So, I think when she left country music and went to pop, I followed along, and I just, she's, I think, just kind of fun and doesn't take herself too seriously, but is also just kind of pretty fearless. And I really admired the lawsuit that she brought, 2 years ago against someone who had groped her, and she didn't even seek any. I think she sought $1 was all she wanted, just because you had to legally seek an amount, and she just wanted to prove that she's not going to take it. And I don't know.
I think that's highly respectful.
I like that mindset. And again, it's fun to listen to. So
no question.
been to a concert, sing along to the songs, and downloaded the most recent album. So
yes. Well,
and there's some talk that the Miss Americana song is a political protest song. That's like the Twitter goss right now.
Oh yes, I've actually heard that, but I don't really know too much about that. I'm kind of, as my friends call, musically Amish. I'm kind of one of those guys who, if it's before Nirvana, it's okay. Afterwards, But whatever the case, we do have, before our closing statement, one other question that we've decided to make kind of our universal question.
Yep.
If I would give you a ticket, and all expenses paid, to go anywhere in the world for 1 week, where would you go?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm dying to do a World War II tour and just go, see the, beaches of Normandy and just, where the greatest generation, fought and saved the world, truly. So that's like kind of on my bucket list. It's something I'd, love to do with our kids when they're a little bit older and can appreciate it. I think, again, during that time, it was young people who, stepped up and we lost, a lot of them, but, they knew what was at stake. And, we're in a different time right now, but it's going to, again, young people, I'm counting on them to save us. So,
oh, yes.
I'll leave it at that.
I think mine is always kind of just a running joke within my friends because if it was a more stable place, I would love to visit Iraq because there's so many historical sites there, like the Tomb of Alexander.
Of civilization. That's right.
Yes. So that's where I would go if it was more stable and safe. But I guess in closing, if you like what you see, please do bring us up on the Twitters and Instagrams because
we will.
We have no operating budget because we don't need it. So basically our currency is word of mouth. So basically the Youth Brain Trust is an organization that helps young people get involved politically and faces progressive values. Thank you, Congressman Swalwell, for having us today.
Of course.
Thank you, will send a finished copy to your comm team.